A paper cut from the book would draw more blood than whatever this was. Here are my immediate thoughts on Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot is the newest supernatural horror film released by New Line Cinema and Max, or formerly HBO Max. This was written and directed by Gary Dauberman, who's worked on some of the Conjuring universe films. And this is the adaptation of the popular 1975 novel by Stephen King. This is, I think, Stephen King's second novel, and if I remember, he has gone on record to saying that this is actually his favorite book, and this is actually one of my favorite books as well. I am also super nostalgic for the 1979 two-part miniseries that Tobe Hooper directed. The plot of Salem's Lot centers on a writer who returns to his hometown of Jerusalem's Lot in search of inspiration, only to discover the presence of a vampire. Let's put this all into perspective. Salem's Lot, the book, is 437 pages. It was adapted to a two-part miniseries that aired on CBS. Each part was about 2 hours long. This version of Salem's Lot is 113 minutes. So, you are getting a super truncated version of this story, and that tells you pretty much everything you need to know about this movie. So Lewis Pullman, Bill Pullman's son, plays Ben Mears, a writer. He is returning to Jerusalem's Lot. He's trying to find some inspiration. He's looking at the one old house. It was the Marston house that he had a bad experience there. He has a meet cute with Susie Norton, who's played by Makenzie Leigh, and you know, there's supposed to be like a little, I guess, sort of romantic fling between the two of them. But they don't really have a whole lot of chemistry, honestly, and that's really a lot of the fault of this movie. That really falls on Gary Dauberman, the writer and director. He took this novel that had a lot of really cool characters and just kind of threw them, you know, at us, and really didn't do a whole lot with them. I'll say this, the movie has really cool style and tension and mood. The movie plays with teals and oranges and fog to really envelope this town in dread. There are really cool little elements of style, like the backing of taillights from a van kind of indicates danger, or there's a match edit from a business card that turns into a staircase, or just the point of view shot of a kidnapped child in a sack. That was actually kind of terrifying and disturbing. Or just a kidnapping scene that was done sort of in silhouette that almost felt like an homage to Bram Stoker's Dracula. Visually, there's a lot of really cool things in this movie. But if you're looking for any real story, I'm just gonna tell you right now, just go back and read the book. Yeah, this movie just condensed this story for public consumption, really, and there isn't a whole lot of meat to it. We get all the characters. Ben Mears is here, Susie Norton is here, Matt Burke, played by Bill Camp, he's the teacher that befriends Ben, he's there. Jordan Preston Carter plays Mark Petrie, and he has a big role to play in terms of fighting off these vampires. They did a little bit of different casting for that, and I did appreciate it. I wasn't too mad at that, but there were times with this particular character that he was written in a way where it was like things he would say or do just didn't make a whole lot of sense. It just wasn't consistent. Euron Greyjoy, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name because I cannot, but he's the dude who played Euron Greyjoy in Game of Thrones. He plays Stryker, who's sort of the underling to Kurt Barlow, who is the vampire that sort of takes over this town of Jerusalem's Lot. And he was good. He kind of knew he was, you know, playing someone who was a little bit more over the top in his theatrics and presentation. And I enjoy that he went balls to the walls with it. Alfre Woodard is here as Dr. Cody. That's another bit of different casting compared to the book or the miniseries. And really, I'm just gonna say this. This movie cast her just so she could say one particular line that only she could deliver. And when that happened, I was just like, what was the point? John Benjamin Hickey is here as Father Callahan. And again, they don't do a whole lot of justice with this character. He's supposed to be someone that is, you know, wrestling with his faith, but they don't really talk about that. They just say, oh, he's a drunk. And I guess that means that he's also questioning his faith. But the two aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. You can be a drunk and still have a lot of faith. But they just didn't really get into that. The other thing about this movie I did like was the production design. This movie takes place in 1975, and it seems like the film is trying to say something about small towns and how they're dying or how they have died or decayed, and how, you know, Barlow, this malevolent force has come in and has sucked the life out of these towns. And there's actually a really cool sequence that has to do with a drive-in theater. I won't get into that, but that was really cool. There were some changes from the book and from the miniseries that I was just like, I don't know why you did that. Because it's a Stephen King property, they have to have something with a crazy mother. I'm trying to remember if that was a plot point in the book or the miniseries, but I don't think it was. And that just throws things off a little bit, and that particular character was annoying as fuck. I did like the design of the vampires, or the turned vampires. They have like this shimmering glow in their eyes that kind of look like gems, or they kind of glow red. But like I said, this movie is a truncated, super condensed version of this story. We aren't given a whole lot of time to stay with these characters, so there's really nothing to attach ourselves to. So when certain things happen to them, it's really hard to care because we really don't know a whole lot. If you know the novel, sure, you kind of know certain things, but then at the same time, the movie will take a hard pivot with a particular character, a particular plot point. That just seems like it was just done to just throw the scent off of those who know the novel or know the story, and it just didn't seem to serve the story at the end. And then there are some wild things in this movie. So crosses glow in this movie, and the consistency of the rules of that, like they glow sometimes when a vampire is around, or they glow as a warning, or they will stop glowing if you don't wield enough power behind it. It was just weird. There is a scene where Ben chases one character out of a church, the safest place to be, after she's turned, and I'm like, why would you chase after that person? And then obviously the consequences are there. And I'm like, yeah, you dumb fuck. And then there's the one really crazy thing, which is apparently Raby Shots cures vampire bites. Yeah, I just couldn't even with this movie. And apparently Mark Petrie has a treehouse that doubles as a panic room. This was built in 1975. This guy should be like a genius architect. And yes, the film does try to recreate the most infamous scene from the 1979 miniseries where one of the Glick boys is flying up at the window of Mark Petrie's window, and you know, there's that whole interaction there. But it just fell flat, and really for me, this felt like a really, really dry, tame Fright Night. Overall, Salem's Lot did not have enough bite. It was just a boring, condensed version of the celebrated tale that doesn't give anyone anything to really do because the film is too focused on creating mood and atmosphere instead of studying these rich, multi-layered characters. Everyone here is one-dimensional. The film tries to say something heavy-handed about small towns, but it is drowned out by all the noise of a messy film that had no business being made if it wasn't going to be properly adapted. How did King give his blessing to this? I have no idea, but Salem's Lot is a major flop for me. Also, one other thing I just want to note as a horror hound, this film cast Derek Mears as the hitman that, the house, the haunted house, sort of, this lore is surrounded over. And I thought to myself, this is where this movie really fucked up, because you have Derek Mears, who has played a great hulking Jason Voorhees, and you don't cast him as Barlow, your vampire? He's right there. That's like having Robert Englund and Michael Cera auditioning to play Freddy Krueger, and instead of going with the most obvious choice, you go with Michael Cera for reasons? But those are my immediate thoughts on Salem's Lot 2024. What did you guys think of the movie? Share your thoughts, leave your comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you can get notifications as well. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.